Welcome to the Peace and Parenting Podcast. I'm Michelle, and I have a guest on the show today, Rachel, who's part of our community. And I just want to welcome her, and she's going to share her journey. Welcome to the show, Rachel. Will you tell everybody who you are?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So I have two little girls, almost 3 and almost 5, and I live in South Carolina. I've been, doing this work since January is when I joined, and I've been doing some one-on-one coaching and getting a lot of feedback and support from group calls, and also chatting one-on-one with a listening partner, and just, tapping into all the things, doing all the things.
You're doing all the things. Well,
Yeah.
when you do all the things change. They really do.
Yeah.
So tell us, I would love to know about your journey. When you first reached out to get support, where was your parenting at? How were you feeling? How are your kids feeling? What was your home like?
So early January, I was in a really rough place. I was grieving. Our home was, I would say, a bit of a disaster. I kind of came to the end of my rope where I just felt like if something doesn't change, I'm I'm gonna lose my mind here. I am home full time with my kids, and spend a good deal of time parenting them. And I was feeling like I couldn't escape it, and that there wasn't a place for me to feel what I was feeling and also do a good job at raising my girls. And yeah, it wasn't working. My oldest was really, the main issue at that point. And she was super fragile, like losing it over the littlest things. And that's not normally who she is, her personality type. She's way more easygoing. And we just kept running into one thing after another. And I'm sure a lot of it was she was picking up on our energy, my energy, and I can see that now. But at that point in time, I really related to what you said of like, I just wanted somebody to tell me like what was wrong with her.
Yeah,
And
I
there
know.
wasn't anything wrong with her.
I know.
Very normal kid things, but to me at that point in time, it was like I couldn't cope.
Yeah.
And I think normally I have a bit more bandwidth. At that point in time, it was zilch. Like any little thing would throw me off. And then, so we're just going back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, that's really, really hard. I've been there. Like you said, I talk about it all the time. Like I was like, somebody needs to tell me how to fix Esme, and then my house will be fine because she's the problem. And it's bigger and deeper than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what behaviors I hear your behaviors from your daughter. How were you responding to her like big feelings and emotions back then?
Oh, I mean, I was immediately shutting things down because I couldn't handle more crying. I couldn't handle one more, but mom, I want this. And I'd pick her up from school and I wanted to be with her and see her, and I was excited, and she would lose it on the bike ride home. And I was like, why can't we just have a good moment together? And she, I think, was looking for some limits, and mainly just looking for me to see her and connect with her. And I couldn't do that because I wasn't leaving any room for her to feel anything. And she was feeling a lot at that point.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think I like how you said she was looking for me to connect with her and see her. And I think, as I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years, and I think when we're a stay-at-home mom, and even parents who work, we believe that connection is attention or being there or presence. And I feel like there's so much more to connection that we don't understand. I like how you say she wanted me to see her.
Yeah. And, she's not even 5, but I think she wanted me to probably explain to her what was going on, and I didn't really talk to my girls about what was going on at that point in time. I just didn't I didn't want I mean, I think I did try to explain, like, "I'm having a hard time, I'm feeling sad today," things like that, but part of me wishes we talked about what was really
Happening.
bubbling under the surface because they're a part of this family and they're able to, like, I think they could have handled.
Yeah, understanding what was going on. Yeah.
But
And
yeah, I think she just really wanted someone to say, like, "You're a part of this family, you're important, your feelings are important," and we were we were all drowning,
yeah,
really,
I'm
really.
sorry. Yeah, I've been there. I really have. I was drowning for 5 years. Also, I was just drowning, and mine went on the whole 5 years. Well, really, from the time Pia was born on, like, 2.5 years. Um, and it's hard. It's hard to know how to navigate. It's hard to know what to do. It's hard to know, the thing in our society is, like, shut down the feelings. You gotta get them to stop feeling. You gotta get them to stop emoting because it's causing everyone discord. But what did you learn that helped you get through that piece?
Well, I think as soon as we started to allow the feelings and say, okay, you can be mad, you can be sad. That's totally fine. You're allowed to have those feelings. I'm still going to say, no, we're not having that or whatever she's asking for. My daughter's extremely social. So she was always asking, can we see a friend? Can we see? And there was a part of me that was wondering, like, is she so unhappy at home too that she'd rather be at school or with another friend or somewhere where she's feeling important
Right.
and valued, and here she's just we're just like hanging on until bedtime. We can't wait until a
Yeah.
break or whatever it is. And yeah, I think what was going on for me is I didn't like her. I didn't like being around her. I felt like, gosh, she is
A lot.
extreme
Yeah.
to the max. Everything is extreme with her, and it just made it hard to go anywhere, do anything. Um, Public outings, being with friends, and you name it. It was like it didn't go well.
Yeah, that's really hard, and I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of us get to a place where, like, we don't wanna be with this child because this child is hard. It's hard on us, it's hard on the family, it's hard to go anywhere, it's hard to do anything. So when you started listening to her feelings, what happened with her? How did she change?
She she softened. I felt like she was really hard and she was digging her heels in and doing the kind of classic, like, I'm sticking to what I want, and she knows what she wants. She's always been that way, but um I I wasn't necessarily like caving to her during that time. I wasn't doing the, like, lazy parenting or, like, letting myself off
Aggressive.
the hook really very much at all. I was just, like, shutting it down, but there was no empathy.
Mhm.
And so I think once we started to say, "Okay, you're feeling a lot. I'm really sorry," and I think I was just trying to tell myself the same things, like, "I'm also feeling a lot, and it's okay, and
Yeah,
this is not gonna be forever," and that's especially important when you're dealing with something like this with a child because it does feel like every single day it's unrelenting. This will never get better. We'll never find that spark, that joy again. And I can say I did. I found my way back to her where I was like, this is the little person that I love and I
yes.
enjoy being around. You're so fun. This age is so much fun. And I just think it's only going to get better.
Yeah, it is only gonna get better. So she started to soften, and so her it sounds like she was kind of, not very cooperative.
No,
So what happened with the cooperation?
The cooperation, it's a work in progress. We're definitely still, trying to do things as a team. Like, I'll help you, we'll get started. I wouldn't say it's always like, yes, I'm on it. But I do think some of that is she's in school all day in a Montessori setting where she is expected to do a lot. So I sometimes think she comes home and she just wants to
Right. Yeah.
just relax.
Yeah.
And if I'm riding her, hey, let's pick up, hey, we made a mess, but she really does want to join in and she's a helper. And I would just say the overall feel of when I'm saying something to her, like, now we're done, it's time to leave,
Transitions.
transitions are smoother. And before they were not. And it was borderline regression, like, where my husband
Mhm.
was like, she didn't even do this at 2 years old. She
Yeah.
couldn't leave places. I mean, she was just unhinged. And
Mhm.
that became a lot smoother. And I attribute that to, I guess, her cup being filled and she wasn't feeling like something was being taken from her, or, there wasn't the reassurance of, we're going to come back to the park another day, or we're going to see these friends another day.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
And so what about your other daughter?
Well, that's the funny part. And I am sure this is really common in my one-on-one coaching. She said it's extremely common. She kind of started acting up a few months in.
Mhm.
I hit my rough patch with my older daughter. We moved through it and I thought, okay, all right, we've like found it. And
You did
then
it.
my older daughter was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I have feelings too.
And she is sensitive, kind of moodier. She's been saying things often like, I'm going to go be by myself when I'm mad. And if I'm mad, I need to go sit outside. And I said,
Girl.
oh, do you like to be by yourself when you're mad, or do you not want me there with you? And she's just much more of that kind of classic second born, gives things up easily, doesn't want to cause issues, and I think wants to be alone in her feelings.
Yeah.
So she doesn't tantrum as often. Um, really. I mean, we see it and they're big blow ups when they happen, but she is much more contained and kind of toes the line. And I've been seeing more of her emotions
Mhm.
spewing out
Yeah.
lately. I think she's seeing like, oh, she can do that. So
Yeah, mommy let sister do it, and she was there for her, and now I want to have my feelings too. Good for her. Good for you for creating that space for both of your girls. That is exactly what happened with my kids. I don't know if it is common, but it's not everybody. But sometimes those younger kids or one of the children aren't as emotive, and they're watching though. They're noticing. Are they safe? I have feelings too, because everybody has feelings. Are you still there?
I'm
Okay,
here.
right. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely been cool to watch. There's a part of me that was like, oh no,
No,
okay, here we go. Here
another.
we go. But it's way easier, I think, when you've been through kind of the worst of it and you know what to expect and you see all of the benefits.
Yeah. You
So,
do see all that. What are some other benefits that you've seen?
um, let me think.
What about the sibling relationship?
Oh, that has definitely gotten better. And that was really tricky for me early on because my younger daughter tends to be more of the physical pinching type.
Mhm.
So she's mad, she's pinching. And I'm not saying it's not always deserved. Like, I'm sure there's some big sister stuff happening that I'm not always seeing. But I think it was really easy for me early on to be like, gosh, she is so aggressive and she is always antagonizing.
Mhm.
And I'm having an easier time coming to them and saying, hey, what's going on? What happened here?
Yeah.
even if I did see it, which oftentimes I don't.
Yeah.
So
Or
I
we
think
don't see the whole thing, right? We see just a snapshot of whatever we happen to be privy to, and then it's hard to know what are all the things that happened in the last few hours.
they've been playing together way better,
Yeah.
which headed into summer, I'm extremely thankful for because
Yeah.
we're going to have way more time, all of us together. And
Mhm.
if my older daughter is coming up with, some crazy plan and she wants her to follow, she comes right along and, yes, okay, good idea. And they just go and do their thing. And I mean, that just makes life easier for me. I'm able to get some stuff done and I don't feel like I have to be, they're not so little, but they're still, you don't want your kid hurting your other kid. And so,
No, we don't want that. And I think it's so amazing that's like you can work on connection with both of them and that translates to their relationship because they're both doing better so they can do better with one another.
mhm.
It's so simple and yet it escapes us when we're thinking about siblings. I'm so grateful that you're getting that sibling stuff because that usually comes a bit later for older kids when we're doing this work, but because yours are so young, you get to see it early, which is amazing. Really amazing.
Girls, oops, want them to have I mean, I think anyone wants their kids close, but I think especially because they're girls, I want there to be good energy in our house. I don't want nasty sister stuff spewing.
No, no, it's no fun. We've had every iteration of relationship between my girls, and that nasty stuff is really, really hard to watch as a mom. It really is. Um, what did you learn about yourself?
Uh, so most of my life, I would say I am one to quit things. I start, I don't finish, or I don't even make it to the start because I'm like talking myself out of it. And um, when I started in January, I remember thinking, okay, this is a big commitment in a lot of ways, but
Mhm.
I was so desperate for something.
Yeah.
Like I thought we can't go on. I'm not
No.
I don't know. I didn't know what was going to happen to me, but I was very worried and worried for my husband, like everything. All of this affects everything. And when I started, I remember thinking like I don't know if I think anything's going to change what's happening, but
Mhm.
I'm going to try. So I tried, which is not typical of me. So, like I put myself out there and did something. I don't know other people who had done like I didn't
Right.
have a friend tell me, "Hey, I did this. It was really good. You should do it."
Right.
Honestly, I had just connected with a lot of what I was reading and hearing from your podcast, and I thought
Mhm.
this just feels intuitively right. And I'm so glad I found you. I mean, I think I don't want to, play out the worst case scenario, but I don't think I could have done this on my own without the support. And I'm sure I could have discovered tools or read things, but it's so different when you have someone kind of walking alongside you. And
Totally.
that part changed it for me. And it probably wasn't until like halfway through my coaching that my coach was like, "Hey, something's shifted for you. Like you seem lighter." I think even early on, I was still skeptical and like, I don't know. I'm not seeing what I want to see here. This is really not working. And I would say halfway through the coaching is when I like started to find my groove and like completely bought in.
Yes, we love it. It really is so different than reading posts or watching or listening to the podcast or even watching videos. Like it's a complicated framework, I think. It isn't actually. It's very simple. It's hard to implement when
It
you
is.
don't have the support. And I think having the support, having the 3 calls a week, 3 support calls a week, and having you know, one-on-one coaching is it'll just increase the quickness in which you are able to apply the tools and really learn them and commit them to like real deep memory and understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't doing it with my husband, but he's learning so much from me and was extremely open to this. I mean, he was the one that was like, "Have you bought the like, are you doing it? What's happening?" I was like, "I don't know. Should I? Like, what?" Kind of dragging my feet a little bit. And
Hey, we like it that he was pushing you to do
he
it.
wasn't he wasn't pushing me because he was like, "We're doing this together," but he was pushing me like, "You soak in everything, come back and tell me all you know. We'll read, we'll do all the things." And
Right?
I feel extremely supported in like on that front. And I think it has to be that much harder when
You
you're
don't
up
know.
against someone who's not really interested or yeah, doing the exact opposite of what you're doing. I
Yeah.
feel like
It's harder for
yeah,
sure.
we're doing best for our girls. Excited to see kind of where that takes us.
It's gonna take you amazing places, and it just gets better and better and better and better, which is great because you keep growing, and I think what's beautiful about our program is that we like people to stay in for a whole year,
Yeah.
and that's like it's just different than doing something 1 or 2 or 5 times. When you can come for 12 months and dive in, you change your life, really.
Hmm.
Yeah, you really do. Um, Thank you, Rachel, for sharing your journey with us. Thank you for being part of our community.
Thanks for including me and teaching me.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here. Do I've seen you in the support calls. Do you like the support calls? Are they
I do. Sometimes it's easier to participate than others, but
yeah,
it is just helpful to listen. And it's people with all different age kids and issues and all over the world. And so that part is fascinating. And it's just encouraging that there are other people thinking as deeply about this because I often find, sometimes our community, they're just sort of they're stuck in like this traditional control parenting that clearly isn't working, but they're not really looking outside of that.
yeah,
And I love encouraging friends and dropping little hints of like, hey, this is what we're trying. It seems to be working. Like these little breadcrumbs of
yep, good for you.
this could.
Mhm.
My friends have kids my same. All of our kids are the same age, so we're dealing with a lot of the same things. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, I find the group calls to be a place I can come and share if I have something, or just listen if
yeah,
I want to kind of hear what other people are thinking.
totally. What advice do you have to give anybody who's like, I'm struggling, I don't know what to do. What should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? What's your advice? Because I think there's a lot of us out there. I think we're in the mistrust era, like we're in this like era of like, everyone's promising they can fix my feeling or my problems. I'm talking about everything from my financial problems to my relationship problems to my parenting problems. And, there's a lot of online crap out there that people enroll in, and it's crappy and it doesn't work. And I think so people are they don't trust that things are going to
Mhm.
work. So what would you say to the person that is contemplating doing this work?
I would say try it and maybe do the 1 year, just join to kind of meet other people, explore, try out the tools.
Mhm.
Um, for sure, that's going to help you, like without a doubt. But I think if you're in a place where you feel so stuck, so out of touch with your kids, like to the point where you're like,
It's gonna
something's going to happen in this house,
happen. Yeah.
get help. That's,
Yes.
I think there's this stigma
Mhm.
of getting help, and there's so much information like you said out there, and I'm kind of a proponent of like more information isn't necessarily a bad thing, because at the end of the day, you still kind of, it cycles through you, and what feels right sticks with you. And that's why some of these tools are harder for people than others, because it's like, oh gosh, well, that's not what I grew up with, or that doesn't feel natural to me. So you have to work at it. But at the end of the day, like, you're still going to parent from like your center. It's just you're coming with XYZ tools
Yeah.
to help you do your very best.
Yep, that's it. And these tools are applicable in many different ways through with different personalities and temperaments. And they're not like, they're not stringent rules. It's a framework to understand your family, really. Yeah. That's good advice. I think that you're so right. There's a stigma around getting, especially parenting help. Like we should just know how to parent, that's something that we should know because we were parented and we have parents and like, but there's things are changing and there's so many different ways to come to our kids that we have to, take into consideration. So I think that's a really good piece of advice. Get support. There should be no stigma around that.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's honestly probably the most important job where you need the help. Like,
Training. We need
there's a lot of other jobs that you could just sort of fudge your way through and like figure it out, but this is not one that you want to like screw up.
No, you don't want to cut corners in your parenting. And we talk about our group program, and I think when we broke it down, it's like $7 a day or something. It's like, it's buying a coffee, an expensive coffee. It's like how many can you cut out your expensive coffees for the year and really help yourself in parenting? So thank you, Rachel. Thank you for joining us on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I so appreciate all your insights, and I will see you in one of our groups soon.
Okay, see you soon. Thank you.